Hey everyone, it's Nicole. Thank you so much for stopping by my channel. So I'm super excited about today's video. It is 15 frugal tips and tricks that we use to save money in our household. If you're anything like me, you're always looking for new tips and tricks that you can use to save money and just overall be more frugal. People call me cheap all of the time. I don't live a typical lifestyle. I don't go out and spend a ton of money on a lot of random things. And living this way not only allows us to save more money than the average person, but also allows us to splurge on things that we want, like going out to eat for things like anniversaries, birthdays, things like that. There are endless ways to save money depending on your lifestyle, your financial situation. So here are 15 tips and tricks for staying frugal. Tip number 1 is meal planning. This is a big one. Most households use way too much money, spend way too much money on food every single month. Meal planning is a big deal. We tend to eat out a lot if we don't have a plan in place. So what we do is we coordinate our grocery list with items that we already have on hand in the freezer, in the fridge, in the pantry, and we coordinate everything together. That not only helps us save money, but also keeps our pantry organized. And if you know me, you know that I'm an organizational freak. Number 2 is DIY. Do it yourself. This is why I love YouTube, because you can literally learn anything on the internet these days, and it has saved us so much money. So my husband can fix cars. He does a lot. But if he doesn't know how to do it, he watches 10 YouTube videos on it and he figures it out. And that saves us between 50 and 75% of what we would have spent had we had taken it to a repair shop. Because we're not paying for all of that labor, and that is honestly the most expensive part. We all know that. Taking anything anywhere to be fixed, it's always the labor cost that gets you in the end. And it's not just cars. So I've looked on YouTube to figure out how to, sand things or refinish things, put in lights, put in a new lighting fixture, things like that, a new dimmer switch. I have done those things as well. So it's not only just for cars. There are 1,000 household things, leaks in the sink, things like that. You can always do it yourself. Obviously, if it's too big of an undertaking or you're not comfortable doing it, obviously feel free to take it to someone who knows what they're doing, because it could end up costing you more money in the end, having you try to fix it and then ruin it, or have something horrible happen and it just costs more money in the end. But if it's a simple task that you feel semi-confident in doing, I suggest you just watch a ton of YouTube videos and try to do it yourself. It's worked out really well for us. Tip number 3 is couponing. So if you have come from my main channel, you will know that I started couponing forever ago, probably like 5 or 6 years ago now. And I have saved thousands of dollars by doing this. I haven't bought shampoo, mouthwash, toothpaste, probably 1,000 other things, toothbrushes, laundry detergent. I haven't bought any of that in years. It does save me a ton of money. It is a chunk of time, so I will say that, but it has honestly saved us so much money that it's totally worth it. So couponing is a big one for us. Step number 4 is being more aware of your paper and plastic usage. So simple things that will save you money over time, like not using Ziploc bags, not using plastic wrap, being aware of paper plates, paper towels, and just your overall usage of those things. So maybe switching from a Ziploc bag to a storage container will save you money. Obviously not using paper plates and using real plates, that will save you money over time, and also you're being more environmentally conscious. Reusing things like paper and plastic bags, or even buying those reusable bags, do help out a lot. It's not a lot of money all at once, but it does help you save money over time. Tip number 5 is utilizing thrift stores and secondhand stores. You can find a ton of amazing things. If we ever need a new appliance like a toaster or a blender, we typically go to a couple stores first to see if we can find them used. My husband also collects records, so he's there all the time, and it makes for a super cheap hobby, thank God, because records can be really expensive. So just always utilize secondhand stores, thrift stores. There's furniture there, there's clothing there, so it just depends on how deep you want to dive into the whole lifestyle, but there are a lot of things that you can get for really, really cheap. Any thrift stores that you can typically find near a college campus are going to be a good deal, because college kids typically don't keep their clothes as long, or they like to, get rid of things more quickly than other people typically do. If you can, try to look for thrift stores near colleges, because there's usually really, really good stuff there. Tip number 6 is a lot like tip number 5, and that is Craigslist. Utilize Craigslist. I have gotten so many amazing deals from Craigslist or OfferUp, just any resale site that you can think of, eBay. There are so many good deals. It's just, one, you might have to resand something or refinish something, or two, you might have to drive an extra half an hour out of the way to get it, but it's definitely worth it. So a couple years ago, we had moved into this house and we were looking for things, obviously, very frugally. There was a beautiful marble countertop cabinet that we had found, and it was $70, but it was like 45 minutes out of the way. So we said, hey, we would be willing to come pick it up, but we counter offered $50. He said fine. So I have this gorgeous marble countertop cabinet in my house now, and it's just awesome. We just had to drive a little bit farther than we normally would have out of the way, but just look for things like that. There's also a free section. You can definitely use that, especially if you're looking for things like doors and just like random house parts, remnants, things like that. There are so many places to get those for super cheap or even free. Tip number 7 is cutting cable. We haven't had cable for almost 10 years now, and honestly, I don't miss it at all. There are just too many other ways to consume content these days via Netflix, our cell phones, Amazon, Hulu, Sling. There are just 1,000 different ways to get content now. So having cable is kind of outdated, and also it's really, really expensive. I suggest sharing accounts with other friends or family members. That way you're paying for one or two things, they're paying for one or two things, and you can all use them together, and that way you're also saving money that way as well. Tip number 8 is buying clothes at the end of the season. I wouldn't say never, I rarely buy clothes in season because they're just more expensive. So wait until the end of the season, whatever it is, and I always tend to stock up on things like boots, jeans, things like that, because I will be able to wear them next year and they will be brand new, tags still on them, and they were half of the price, if not more. So just be aware of sales. So like patio furniture, any sort of seasonal decor, be sure to look out for deals because end of season deals are honestly really good. I know every year JCPenney has all of their patio furniture like 80% off the weekend that they are transitioning from summer to fall. So there are just a lot of good deals. You kind of just have to know when and where to look. Tip number 9 is gift cards. We tend to ask for money or gift cards for our birthdays, anniversaries, Christmas. That way we aren't coming out of pocket for things like dining out or upgrades to the house. We supplement any extras that we need with gift cards and we save them up. Like say we want to paint a room or buy a new piece of furniture, we will save gift cards and then use them all at once. That way we're just not coming out of pocket. And also getting gift cards for restaurants is a nice way to splurge on yourself while not actually spending any money. Tip number 10 is utilize free subscriptions. So a lot of places will let you eat free on your birthday. I bet there's at least one, if not 3 or 4 places that will let you eat for free or give you a free little gift because it is your birthday. So just make sure, I would even Google online and see what those places are because you can usually eat for free, get all of those things, save them in your fridge and eat for the next day or two on someone else's dime. So that's pretty sweet. And then use your splurge money or what have you later in the week when you have ran out of your freebies. There are a lot of major chains that will offer a free item when your local team wins any sporting event, so just make sure that you're looking out for those as well. There are also free trials of things that you can be utilizing. This one is kind of tricky because sometimes they do require you put in your credit card information, but if you cancel before the end of the free trial, you've gotten something for free and you hadn't had to pay for anything obviously because it's free, so just keep that kind of stuff in mind too. Tip number 11 is shopping around. In the past couple months, we've had a lot of extra time to do this. We have saved $60 a month by switching our auto insurance, so that was a huge gain for us. We changed our phone plan, which was an additional $30 in our pocket, and we are also considering refinancing our house, which will save us about $300 a month. So right there is about $400 a month in savings with just a couple hours worth of phone calls. And this is great too because it equates out to about $400 a month, which is almost $5,000 a year, which is money that we've freed up to not only save for something, but just gives us that extra little woosah of having that extra $400 at the end of the month in case something does happen. So just set aside a couple hours during one week and figure out where you can maybe cut cost, call a couple places, and you'll probably be able to save money somewhere. You just haven't thought about it. And it seems like a lot of work at the time, but honestly, it's just a couple phone calls. These places are willing to do the work for you to get your business. Tip number 12 is buying in bulk. This is a little bit difficult for us personally because there's only 2 of us, so there's not a whole lot that we can buy in bulk and use, but just items like meat, cereal, bar soap, and mouthwash, you can buy in large quantities. And the things that tend to go bad, you can freeze, you can put into individual containers. That way you are utilizing what you need when you need it. This is just one of those things where it is cheaper in the long run, even though maybe more expensive up front, but it is saving you a lot of money. Tip number 13 is buying generic. I know a lot of people have major hangups on this, but I can tell you that for a fact, one, I've worked in a factory, so I know for a fact, a lot of companies' generic brands are really just the regular brand in different packaging. It happens all of the time. There are some items that I will say I won't use generic. Things like soda, things like Oreos. I have to have real Oreos. I've never found a generic Oreo that I like. But a lot of these places, especially like cheese and things like that, potato chips, the generic item is the exact same as the regular. It's just different packaging. So there's no reason to pay double or triple the price for these items because it's the same exact product. That's why I love places like Aldi's, because I'm saving so much money and the quality is the exact same. Tip 14 is save your change. This one is becoming a little bit more difficult as we are moving towards a cashless society, but we do still save all of our change. We typically turn it in every time we go on vacation, which is pretty much every year to every other year. And we have about $40 to $50 every time that we cash in. And that typically pays for one of our meals, which doesn't seem like a lot, but it is a lot, especially because you're spending all of the money on vacation anyway between hotel and airfare and all these other things. So having that extra $40 to $50 for a meal really does help out a lot. But even in 2020, saving change is a thing, and it does make you extremely frugal because it is something that's going out of fashion too. The last tip that I'm going to share with you today, so this one is a big one. Stop keeping up with the Joneses. You can't be frugal if you're always looking out your window seeing that so-and-so got a new car, they got a new lawnmower, their landscaping looks like this, they just put in a pool, or so-and-so at work just got this, their nails are done, their hair is dyed. It's nice for people to have all these extra little things, but if you're constantly comparing your lifestyle to others, it will drive you crazy and it will 100% make you spend money that you don't need to spend. Not only that, but it's also just unhealthy for your mental health as well as your wallet. It's typically on things that aren't that important. You know, lawns, cars, nails. No one really cares about that stuff at the end of the day, do they? So just focus on you, focus on what you're saving money for, continue to live frugal, continue to be content and happy with what you have, and it will make a world of difference. So thank you guys so much for checking out this video. If you haven't already, please hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, all of that fun YouTube stuff. It does help me out a ton if you do so. So that is it for this video. And remember to make good choices. Do not listen to those voices because the only voice that matters is yours. Bye guys.